Hey, ladies and gentlemen, and now we're going to be talking about the anxiety here. This is the magazine right here. It's the this is the magazine about the anxiety, okay? So this one is called Health Easing Anxiety: The Science of Healing, Understanding Symptoms, Finding Support, Finding Relief. That's what it says on the bottom right there. And so, in this magazine here, now I'm going to read this. Anxiety in our world. Are we more anxious than ever? Recent world events have exa- ex- exacerbated rates. EXACERBATED rates of anxiety. Disorders among adults. The good news, there are ways to cope. We all experience bouts of worry or dread from time to time in response to current events or to stressors at work or at home. But when these feelings consistently pop up and make it difficult to go about your normal routine, it might be a sign that something's amiss. Part of the reason anxiety tends to feel so familiar is its close relationship to fear. Direct threats to our well being trigger a fight or flight response within our brain, which typically subsides once the threat disappears. Anxiety causes a similar response, except instead of responding to something directly in front of you, your brain reacts to a what if situation, even when the likelihood of a direct threat is low. And anxiety based responses tend to last longer than fear based ones, leaving you feeling tense or on edge for longer. This this activated response is also why so many people with anxiety feel physical symptoms in addition to, or sometimes even instead of, mental ones. Anxiety can lead to fatigue, restlessness, muscle tension, chest palpitations, trouble sleeping, jaw pain, and more. COVID-19, of course, only exacerbated these feelings. All right, let me get it. Let me get it. I'll be right back. Let me find out how do I pronounce this word here. Exacerbate. 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 That's how you pronounce it. Exacerbate. See? Exacerbate. See? I just look it up like right over here, you know? See? I gotta press this part. Exacerbate. Exacerbate. Exacerbated exacerbated these feelings. Previously, anxiety disorders were thought to affect about 7% of the global population, but since the onset of the pandemic, rates of anxiety have more than tripled, jumping as high as 27% among the general population, 40% among people who have contracted the virus, and up to 43% among frontline healthcare workers. Additional world events such as the race-related protests following the death of George Floyd in 2020 and the 2022 overturning of Roe v. Wade have also caused anxious feelings. A 2012 study published in the journal PLOS One found that women tend to be better at remembering negative news for longer periods than men. The study authors also found that women have more persistent psychological reactions to anxiety caused by news. Our environment plays a key role in triggering anxiety. The need to homeschool children during the pandemic put added stress on parents and caregivers among pregnant people. The lack of early information about the effects of the virus on an unborn child sparked feelings of anxiety due to a lost sense of control and unemployment, decreased financial resources, and an overwhelming sense of unpredictability and instability can lead to more anxiety, stress, and depression among older adults. But not everyone will go on to develop a diagnosable condition, even when faced with the same stressors. Factors such as age, sex, and family history of mental illness also make us more or less vulnerable to anxiety disorders. Most of these conditions begin to appear early in life and may be the result of environmental factors, genetics, or both. Those assigned female at birth are also more likely to have an anxiety disorder, potentially related to hormonal differences or variations in memory processing in the brain. But the greatest risk factor thus far appears to be genetics. Having a parent with an anxiety disorder makes a person 2 to 4 times more likely to develop an anxiety-related condition. An anxiety disorder isn't characterized as one specific thing. Either many people associate diagnosed anxiety with generalized anxiety disorder, unprovoked and exaggerated fear and worry that interferes with your everyday life. But that disorder is one of the less common forms of anxiety, affecting only 2% of the population each year. Most anxiety relates to specific phobia, the chronic fear of a specific thing or experience, such as spiders or flying, which affects around 2 to 6% of the population, and social anxiety disorder, an intense fear of social situations or performances, which occurs in about 12% of the population, and there are more forms: agoraphobia, fear of places or situations outside the home, panic disorder, selective mutism, and separation anxiety disorder. Other times, anxiety is due to medications, substance use, or illness. Feelings of anxiety are also common among those with thyroid disorders, low blood sugar, heart disease, and conditions affecting the lungs. Because some level of anxiety is present in so much of the population, it can be hard to distinguish what's typical from what might be a diagnosable disorder. When a condition escalates, the good news is that there are paths to easing it. Anxiety is treatable, especially when addressed early. Most people see a significant reduction in symptoms following cognitive behavioral therapy, a type of talk therapy, medication, or combination of the two. Natural remedies such as essential oils are another option, though. Those who are pregnant or nursing should consult a healthcare provider before using them. Defining the disorder, understanding the causes and the signs as well as the treatments, symptoms of anxiety, the upside of stress. Can anxiety be contagious? See, there's a picture right here. What does it mean to be anxious? The first step is understanding what anxiety is and how it and its relatives, stress and worry, can impact the mind and body. Then come the best strategies to help manage it. 11 years old. Okay, Alexandra Kopko was 11 years old when she experienced her first panic attack. Her heart fluttered and then raced. She felt pins and needles in her left arm, and her breathing sped up to the point that she felt lightheaded. She was sure she was having a heart attack, which she learned about in a CPR class at school. Her mother, a teacher, recognized what was really happening and helped her calm down by breathing into a paper bag. When I was a teenager, my anxiety would present itself very physically. Kopko says, I would hyperventilate, or I would get some sort of tightening in my chest or arm. An actress, singer, and mental health blogger in New York City. She says anxiety now afflicts her more mentally sometimes, especially when she's tired or hasn't gotten enough exercise. She experiences feelings of terror that have no clearly defined source. At other times, she feels disconnected from herself or the world. It's like having 6 feet of glass between me and everything else, she says. During college, Kopko worked with a therapist and learned techniques that helped her manage her anxiety. But then, several years passed. As I grew older, my anxiety changed just as I was changing, and the old tools didn't work. Following a breakdown in 2016, she found a new therapist and explained to her everything that was going on in her head. I was I was sure she would tell me that I was broken forever, Kopko recalls, but she said, "Oh, these are classic anxiety symptoms." As soon as Kopko heard that, she says everything became way less scary and I could start working my way out of it. Fear, uncertainty, isolation, dread, the emotions that anxiety conjures are familiar to everyone, and researchers who study anxiety say we should all be grateful for a measure of it. If anxiety didn't exist, people would likely struggle to anticipate and avoid danger. In fact, none of us would be here today if anxiety wasn't a fundamental element of the human condition. Anxiety is another word for fear and fear. All right, folks. So I'm going to stop from page 10. Stay tuned. See ya.